then they changed their stance and said, no, we'll let her get up and talk, but it's got to be a question answer format. Like, we'll ask her a couple questions and then she can answer those questions. Well, the day of, or the day before, they finally pulled their heads out of their butt and said, no, you know what? Okay, you can come up and you can give a 5 to 10 minute speech on your father's behalf. Thank you, NFL, because the speech that young woman gave was as moving and sincere and heartfelt as anything you could ever watch or see or hear from anyone. I'm getting a little choked up right now just thinking about it. The speech, the memorial, the dedications, the tribute that she paid to her late father was just right. It was necessary for her and her family and their healing. It was necessary for the NFL to finally incorporate a level of humanity in regards to the way they operate their brand, their business. And if you did not see it or hear it, I cannot recommend it enough to you. Go on YouTube or whatever you prefer to go on and type in Junior Seau's daughter's speech, or Hall of Fame speech, or whatever, search keywords you want to use, and watch that 5 to 10 minute speech. Listen to it. If you do not get moved in some way, then you're probably a soulless idiot who thinks Floyd Mayweather would destroy Ronda Rousey in an octagon UFC fight. But anyway, please check that out. You will be a better human being for it. I am. I guarantee it. So that was awesome. That was the highlight of the actual Hall of Fame ceremony. But now, last bit of football news before we work our way into Balls Juice really quick. And actually, no, let's go to Balls Juice. All right, that was the meat, and now we're in Balls Juice, still on football. So our juicy topic this week, Scotty Ball's juicy topic this week, is involving training camp fights in the NFL. Now, this is something we see every year. Guys on the defense will start throwing punches at guys on the offense. Locker room tiffs, what have you. We see that all the time, every year. It happens, okay? Des Bryant got into a well-publicized one a week ago that I just simply neglected on the show last week. Cam Newton was involved in one lately, and Geno Smith of the New York Jets was involved in one recently. Now that is the one that I'm going to devote my time to here this week because, oh man, is it juicy and good. So, Geno Smith is a second-year quarterback for the New York Jets. He is going into the season as the starter. He started the majority of the season for them last year as a rookie. And so that's their guy. That's their franchise QB right now. He hasn't proved that he can be that, for a long time. But he's shown flashes here and there that, he could maybe become a Michael Vick or a Cam Newton or something like that, possibly. I don't think it'll happen. But like I said, he's shown some flashes throughout last year. So anyway, him and a teammate, Ik Enamali, or I don't know what the teammate's name, I don't know how to pronounce it. But so him and this defensive teammate got into a fight, a training camp fight, the other day. I believe it was over some money, too. I believe Geno either felt that Ik owed him $600 or Geno owed Ik $600 and didn't want to pay something about $600. That's what I got out of what the media was willing to share as far as actual details and facts regarding the stories. As they so often tend to leave the majority of those things out and just talk about their opinion, which I kind of do too, but, dude, I'm a podcaster. I don't have frickin' stat boys and stuff like that working for me. I'm a one-man wrecking crew, so a little different. But anyway, they got into this fight, and the defensive guy, Ik, whatever the heck his name is, he punches Geno, lands it in the face, and broke Geno Smith's jaw. Broke his jaw. Just straight up punched him in the face and broke his jaw. Geno Smith, the Jets' second-year starting quarterback now, is out for 6 to 10 weeks. Needless to say, the defensive player was immediately cut, released. Now, here's where it gets just that much more. Here's the cherry on it, okay? So Rex Ryan, former head coach of the Jets, last several years, he is starting his first year now as the head coach of the division rival Buffalo Bills. Less than 24 hours after Ick breaks his starting quarterback's jaw and gets dropped by his team, his former coach last year, who's on a division rival now, immediately signs to do a contract. I freaking love that. I think it's great. A lot of people are upset about that and think, well, this guy did this terrible, violent act against another person, and then another team just goes out and hires him right away. And how does that fit in with like what Ray Rice did and what Adrian Peterson, all these other Greg Hardy, Ray McDonald, all this stuff. It's like, come on, dude was fighting for a job. He made a really dumb mistake as far as keeping that job, and then he lost it. Someone else who, does the same job, but for a business competitor, picked him up. Big deal. Like, that's what happens. Now, I'm not saying that, it's totally okay for NFL players to just go around punching their teammates and breaking people's jaws and stuff. That is not what I'm saying. But something like this that takes place on the field, within the confines of a team and things like that, those are of different disciplinary actions than all these things taking place off the field in public and personal life situations. Okay, so again, you got to be a smart fan who can logically identify similarities between things, differences between things, and give an unbiased analysis of the information, and not just go, well, this is my opinion because I'm a fan of this guy or this team, or this is my opinion because I'm not a fan, I'm an anti-fan of this guy or team, or whatever. It's like, have those personal fandoms and feelings, but you can't allow that to affect your analysis as a sports fan, or you're just being stupid and you're constantly setting yourself up to be wrong. Okay, but so there's our balls juice topic in the NFL regarding the latest epidemic in fighting, and I don't know. I guess Geno Smith, good luck. I hope your jaw heals soon. For your sake, however, I had your super crappy Jets penciled in as the unquestioned last place team in your division anyway, and this changes none of that. If anything, it might actually get you guys a couple more wins at the beginning of the season, because you'll be able to start a veteran quarterback who can actually manage a game, as opposed to being forced to start a super young guy who will either win you the game by making a bunch of plays or lose you the game by trying to make a bunch of plays and failing. So, I don't know. We'll have to see how that plays out for the Jets, but I still got them as the worst team in their division coming up this season. All right, one last balls juice topic, and then we're going to have to start wrapping it up here real quick. NHL, moving to a tiny bit of hockey-related news. Chicago Blackhawks superstar Patrick Kane is currently under investigation or allegation, or however you want to think of it, for sexual assault, rape. The woman accusing him of doing this did immediately go to the police, like that night or the very next day, get all the proper tests done and everything. Her story is looking completely, or well, I shouldn't say completely, but her story is looking extremely legit. No decisions legally or professionally have been handed down to Patrick Kane of any kind yet at this point that I'm aware of. If you have any news on the Patrick Kane story, please share it with me at BDST Show on Twitter or on Facebook at Scotty-Ball. It reminds me quite a bit of the Ben Roethlisberger situation from a few years ago. And it's sad to see all these people Darren Sharper, Patrick Kane, Ben Roethlisberger, all these guys, great looking, young, successful, extremely rich guys who can, for the most part, get just about any woman they want. That these men go out and power trip and impose their wills on human beings that don't feel the same way. And so it's alarming because we don't see this with the same regularity from other athletes in other sports. It's always a football thing. So I guess in that way it's kind of nice for once that it's a hockey guy. But there's got to be, you know what? No, all right, we got our balls deep thought of the day. We're going to base it off of this Patrick Kane story a little bit. But yeah, that's coming up here in a few minutes. So yeah, we'll use that to close Balls Juice here, and we'll squeeze in just a couple quickies and get to our deep thought of the day. Again, I apologize for the shortened episode this week and the airing a day later. But as summer is wrapping up, I find myself swamped, especially this week, where I could have just took the week off for vacation and came back next week, same time with Balls Deep Sports Talk. But I wasn't willing to do that. I want to come to you every week, no matter what. So that's what we're here for. All right, now, quickie in the WNBA. There's about approximately 10 games left for the teams involved before they make it to their postseason. So if you are a women's basketball WNBA fan, you will be looking forward to and enjoying their playoffs starting in about 2 weeks approximately. Now, this playoff picture is going to be really interesting because out in the East, 5 of the 6 teams out in the East have a winning record. But obviously 5 out of the 6 teams in the East are not all going to make the playoffs. And then contradictorily, or quite the opposite, in the Western Conference, there are only 2 teams of the 6 that are above 500. So if I'm not a WNBA expert by any means, big shocker there. But if the WNBA wanted to be progressive and smart and make this right, they would have a total of 8 playoff teams out of their 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12. They got a 12-team league. They should have 8 playoff teams. Okay? The top 2 teams in each division, you get a playoff spot. Everything else, the other 4 are simply at-large bids. Okay? So that way we could actually have all 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We could have all 7 teams that have a winning record in the playoffs. But I don't know. Again, I'm not an expert on how their playoffs work, so I will research that and know more about the WNBA playoff format for you for next week. But to close that out, we've got my Minnesota Lynx, the best team in the women's NBA, of course, at 17-6 on top of the Western Conference, and then behind them would be the Phoenix Mercury, and that's the only other team out west that has a winning record. The Tulsa Shock, Los Angeles Sparks, San Antonio Stars, and Seattle Storm all stink immeasurably. And then out in the East, the only team you got that stinks would be the Atlanta Dream. Other than that, we got the New York Liberty in first, followed by the Indiana Fever, the Washington Mystics, the Chicago Sky, and the Connecticut Sun, all having winning records. So yeah, and I was watching Belladonna or whatever the other day on ESPN. I think she dropped like 55 or something like that. Like, man, the WNBA season is getting pretty good, and it's actually got some amazing basketball players in it playing some amazing basketball right now. So if you're a basketball fan, if you're a women's sports fan, if you're just curious or bored, check out some WNBA sometime here soon, as their season is getting hot and nearing the final playoff run, or the final regular season run, and the playoffs starting, I should say. All right. Now, all right, so since we're running out of time here, For your Ultima Lucha recap, since I went into such great detail on all the matches last week, simply go on El Rey Network or on